What do you do if you're in a self-defense situation where it's pitch black, you got somebody that's trying to kill you or hurt you, you have a handgun, but you can't see your sights, you can't really see the bad guy? What should you do? Now, the short answer is you should run like hell, right? But if you can't get away, you better darn well hope you installed some tritium sights on your handgun. We are going to be testing out the Hi Viz H3s tonight, so check this out. First thing we did is we got a set of Hi Viz Lightwave H3 tritium and fiber optic sights, and we mounted them on a Glock 19, a Gen 3. It's actually super easy to install these. You need the little tiny front sight wrench tool. You disassemble the slide and take the barrel and recoil spring out, and then you can access that little, I guess it's a little bolt or a little screw with a head on it. You unscrew that, and then you just simply screw the Hi Viz sight on. You should use a little bit of thread locker so it doesn't come loose. I used a Lyman rear sight pusher tool to pop the stock lock plastic sight out and put the metal Hi Viz sight back in. Now, what's really cool about these H3 Lightwave Hi Viz sights is that not only do they have tritium, which glows like continuously all the time, it's radioactive material that glows. Not only do they have that, but they also have windows cut out in the sides and on the top that pull light into a fiber optic that actually allows them to really pop in sunlight, daylight, other light situations where you don't actually see the tritium. In competition, I've often used fiber optics. Most of the time we shoot in the daylight, and you really want that front sight to draw your eye, and so you stick a fiber optic in it because it's real bright in sunlight. But if you're running tritium, traditional tritiums, well, they do nothing for you in the daylight. So this is kind of the best of both worlds. It's going to work well in daylight as well as in the dark. So what I want to know is if I could get out there in the dark and whether or not I could line the sights up good enough to hit targets. Now, I have to tell you, a couple of the targets I could see, they're painted white. But by the way, we did have snow out there. It just snowed. It just stopped snowing for a minute when we were out there, so they didn't contrast well at all. But with just my bare eyes, I really struggled to see some of the targets, like really struggled. But I was actually able to line the sights up. They didn't affect my night vision. They aren't so bright that they affect my ability to see in the dark. And I was able to line them up and make hits as I lined them properly. So no issues with that. And so they would absolutely work in that scenario. You're in a dark house. You don't want to necessarily give away your position. You're in a situation where there might be more than one person. You don't want to flash a white light. Those kind of situations. A laser certainly can give away your position, but this allows you to line your sights up and make accurate hits without having to turn on a light. In moonlight, bright starlight, man, these things would be fantastic because you're going to actually be able to see your target a little bit better. If you were in the shadows, your sights are going to be super easy to align, and you're going to have no problem making hits. Now, the other thing I wanted to know is hey, under nods, are we going to be able to make hits with these under nods? So we actually had a couple sets of Armasight binoculars, and we had a set of the 51s and a set of the 40s. We actually filmed through the 40s. They're white phosphorus, thin film tubes. They're actually fantastic. In fact, we're going to do a full review on both of those later. I head mounted on a helmet the 51s. They have a little bit wider field of view, which is pretty interesting. So I kind of thought I'm right eye dominant, and I thought if I took the left eye and focused it on the target, and I focused the right eye on the front sight, that I'd be able to make hits. And as it turned out, I couldn't. I was missing stuff at like 20 yards, like a BCC zone target at 20. I couldn't hit it. I had no idea where I was hitting. It appeared as though the sights were lined up perfectly, but they were not. So what I ended up having to do is adjust the right eye so that the sights were a little bit out of focus, and so the target was a little bit out of focus. And then the left eye was completely in focus on the target. And at that point, I was actually able to make hits pretty consistently. I could see, obviously, everything because these white phosphorus, well, if you're watching the video, you can see what I could see through the nods at that point, and you could see everything. It was like daylight out there through the nods. But, I mean, guys, it was dark. Without the night vision on, I couldn't see. So it may, if you're going to do this, if it's something that you think is important that you be able to do, you want to go out and test this and practice and understand where you have to focus so that you can still see where your sights are. And they certainly glow under nods. I mean, they're very bright, but you want them a little bit. For me, they require to be a little bit out of focus, and then the target a little bit out of focus on that right eye in order to make hits. Now, the advantage of this, red dots give away a signature. They're shooting a laser onto a reflective piece of glass or coating. You can absolutely see it downrange with night vision. If you're using a laser or an IR laser, anybody with other night vision is going to see that extremely well. It's going to draw their attention. It's like pointing a flashlight or a torch around. And so it's going to immediately give away your position. So many other people nowadays have night vision. They have cameras that are capable of seeing it. Cheap stuff off of Amazon is capable of seeing IR lasers. And so that could be a reason why you would want to shoot your pistol without, illumination or laser or red dot. So it works. As you can see, we can hit some stuff. It didn't work as good as I hoped, but it works. So there you go, guys. These Hi Viz sights, I'm impressed with them. They're metal sights. There's a little spot on there that you can actually do an emergency rack on your pants or belt if you need to. They're not angled. There's a flat enough spot on there to do that. They're very visible. I like the way they look. They're easy to install. The rear sight has a set screw in the middle of it. So I pushed it on with a tool, but you can also set the set screw to keep it from drifting or moving on you under recoil. So just a well thought out, well engineered set of sights. I'm going to keep them on my gun. So I'm not replacing this. I'm not putting the plastic stock Glock ones back on. Anyway, that's kind of the situation. So go check out Hi Viz for more information on those. The sights that we put on fit all Glock pistols in 9mm40 and 357. Appreciate you guys watching. Please like, subscribe, and share. We will see you next time here at Guns America. And don't forget to go check out the Hi Viz H3 tritium and fiber optic sights.